What's up guys, Tony Hannity's here from Lazy Tech TV, and today we're going to take a look at a phone that I've been waiting for so very long, which really means just like 2 or 3 weeks, but this is the Pixel XL by Google. Stay tuned. You're going to see a lot of reviews and impressions online about the Google Pixel XL. And you might say, well, what about the Pixel? Well, they're really the same phone, which is really nice. So it just kind of comes down to you as the consumer. Do you want a 5.5-inch phone or do you just want a 5-inch phone? There are a few other differences too. The battery life is better on the XL version. The screen resolution is slightly better on the XL version. But aside from that, everything else is clearly the same thing across the board. Some other notable facts about the Pixel and Pixel XL: the camera is 12.3 megapixels and it got the best mark from DxOMark if you agree with their criteria. They also have 4 gigabytes of RAM, USB Type-C at the bottom, headphone jack at the top, so there's that. And then of course the latest version of Android 7.1 Nougat, or Nougat, however you want to pronounce it. Let's be very clear, Google is really targeting the premium market. In the past, Google was targeting, well, not the inexpensive market per se, but the low barrier to entry or the enthusiast market, or well, the developer market. And developers will want to purchase phones fairly inexpensively, but phones that were really good for the price, and that was the Nexus line. Now, moving to Pixel, we saw with the first Pixel, the Chromebook, and then the second Pixel Chromebook, and the Pixel C, and now we have the Pixel phone. These are all premium devices created by Google. And maybe we'll see a Pixel watch, I don't know, that'd be kind of cool. And that would align with the next iteration of Android Wear. So that's something to look out for as well too. But with the Pixel, I was looking for, if I'm honest, an iPhone running Android. I really love how Apple has done their hardware and software marriage. Very much similar to what Microsoft has done with Surface, where they've created the operating system and they've created the hardware, and it just works very well together. And Google's first interpretation of that for Android, so far, so good. The Pixel also sports the Pixel launcher, which is actually kind of cool. So first off, from the home screen, you've got this little tab on the left-hand side that allows you to pull out, and you've got your Google Now cards just like you've had in the past. You also have your date and weather on the upper right-hand corner, and that's not something that you can change. Unfortunately, I kind of wish that you would be able to take that away, but it is what it is. I mean, how many times do you pull out your phone just to kind of look at the date? And so now it's always going to be there. Also, there's no more app drawer. Well, I mean, sorry, there is, but there's no button for said app drawer. It's really just the whole bottom row, and you just swipe up, which is nice because previously on other Android devices, you always had to hit that app button. And well, let's not be, split hairs. Most of the time you would always hit that app button, but sometimes you wouldn't. You'd open up an app you didn't mean to. This time you just swipe up and you're good to go. The app drawer is going to look pretty much the same. They have a search app option up at the top and then the most used applications right at the bottom. I believe you can turn that off, but honestly, it's quite useful for me at this point. And I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for it, but this is the Verizon version. But hey, there's like no Verizon branding whatsoever. And if you look in my app drawer, there's no Verizon app. I mean, there's the My Verizon app because I need to manage my Verizon account, but there's nothing else. No NFL Mobile, no Verizon Messages Plus, no VZ Navigator, none of that. And that's really nice that they were able to work with Google to be able to take all that stuff out. Another really cool feature of the new operating system is the long press. So if you want to quickly access a feature of an application, like say Maps, you can long press Maps and it gives you an option to go directly home or to work. And that doesn't always work for all applications. Like for example, if I long press Twitter, it thinks I want to move it. But more and more developers and Google are going to work together to make more of these applications work with the long press functionality. I mean, from first glance, first day, this has just been a day of using it, this has been a very snappy phone. And that's usually the case when you first take a phone out of the packaging. It's very snappy and it's very good. But there are a couple of apps that you can try to see if it really holds up to what you would want the phone to be over the next year or so. And one of those apps is Snapchat. So opening up Snapchat on my Nexus 6, on my 6P, on my HTC 10. It was always kind of a slow process opening up Snapchat just to take a snap or watch a snap or whatever it was that I want to do. On the Pixel here, it opens up pretty quickly. It's already done. Taking video doesn't stutter, taking photos is pretty generous. So all in all, I mean, I've been very happy with the experience with that one particular application on the XL. There's two things that Google created that we use or don't use. One is Google Now. And if you're an avid Android user, Google Now has been a godsend. Google Now has been super useful, especially if you let Google into your life. And as much as I do, Google tells me things that I completely forgot about, like when my Costco membership lapsed last week and it already knew my Costco membership number. So there's that. The other thing Google created was Google Now on Tap. And that was a feature, I believe, in Marshmallow where you could hold down the home button and it would take a screenshot of whatever that you were looking at and then give you pertinent information related to what you had on the screen. So if it was a picture of a dog, it would think that maybe you want to look at more pictures of dogs, or you have questions about dogs. Or if it was a picture of a pizza, say maybe you're the one to look more about Italy or pizza or Chicago style pizza. It didn't always work, and honestly the vast majority of people that I talked to forgot that Google Now on Tap was even there. However, there's a brand new function with the long press of the quote-unquote home key, and that is Google Assistant. Google Assistant is integrated somewhat into Google Now, but the way that Google does it is more in line of an assistant where you can kind of have a conversation with your phone. So, case in point, where is the Grand Canyon?
The address for Grand Canyon National Park is Arizona.
How big is it?
Its surface area is 1,902 square miles.
Who lives there?
This is the top result.
And it tells me the Native American tribes that live in or around the Grand Canyon. And I know Google's not the only one that does that. Apple is starting to do that. Of course, Microsoft does that as well too with Cortana. But having it integrated into that one single button, and it just generally recognizes most natural language. That's very, very impressive. So we'll be putting that in through its paces as well too. And last but not least, probably something that you guys were wanting to see is the camera. This camera is super awesome. Like when the Nexus 6 camera came out, I was a little dubious because, well, let's be real. Camera software with Motorola was never really good, and I was kind of hoping because it was a Nexus phone that it would somehow magically be better, and it took pretty decent pictures, but for whatever reason there was always a lag, even from like day one or day two. I mean, this camera that was actually devised by Google, like I said, it got the best marks from DxOMark. Even with HDR Plus turned on, the shutter is really quick. It doesn't have OIS, but it does have very quick focusing, takes pictures in low light fairly well, and from what I can tell, the video is going to be amazing in 4K at 30 frames per second. But it ain't perfect. It's not waterproof, or even really water resistant. I mean, you got phones coming out from Samsung and Apple, and they are really touting the fact that now you don't have to worry about pulling your phone out in the rain while you're playing Pokemon Go, because I know you are. But with the Pixel, you kind of do. And then also, although it does have a USB Type-C for fast charging, it doesn't have wireless charging. And I know Google kind of went away from the whole concept of wireless charging with the Nexus 6P, but I really like that function with my Nexus 6. And finally, design-wise, I'm not sure what is up with this big chin. I mean, I guess design-wise, if there was no chin and the screen went all the way down, it might look a little odd, but to have nothing there just makes it look odder. I do like having the fingerprint reader on the back. I know I've said in the past I like to have it on the front like I do with my HTC 10, but having it on the back is just very comfortable. Just place your index finger right on top of it and it reads it and recognizes it so quickly. Even with the screen off, you can turn it right back on. Oh, and another cool feature, you want to go right to the camera? Just hit the power button twice, and there you go. So yeah, from what I can tell, great phone. I'll be putting it through its pace with regards to the battery life, the sound quality, pretty much everything, including the camera. And if there's anything else that you guys have questions about that you want me to test while I'm doing it over the next week or so, please leave that in the comment section below. I'll be happy to give that a shot. And make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and Instagram. You can just find us, Lazy Tech TV. And if you want to follow me directly, find me at Lazy Tony Vapes, Lazy Tech Tony. and just type in Tony. You can it's in there. So yeah, thank you very much, guys, and we'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.